about time. Do you think we should just, warm up and start, or?
Yeah, I think so. That honors the people who are on time, and I think people who are coming realize, that's what happens. So welcome everybody. So delighted to have you join Siets and I for the Systemic Intelligence Check-in. And really it's an opportunity in these times when really we're needing to explore different ways of being, different ways of operating. New things are emerging, things are changing. So we're wanting to create a safe space to come and explore particularly systemic ideas and how they are relevant in this time and how they might support us in this time. And it's designed to really be a flavor, if you like, of agile. So one of the things that's so important going forward is our ability to come together. How might we make a good connection, like a really good connection, and exchange some things from a really authentic place? We can let go of anything that might get in the way of the richness of the experience, and share together ideas, and then harvest what we could take from this, and off we go into our day if it's in Australia, or our evening if it's in Europe. And I particularly, Siets and I, just before we opened, were having this lovely conversation about the fact that Siets is in Holland and I'm here in Australia. And actually, if you think this is either side of the world, and we're experiencing this COVID together. And we thought it was so poetic in a way, or appropriate, that when we think about how will the world be as we go forward and what is being called of us, this capacity to connect with people even across the globe, that we might enrich our awareness, our insights, our capacity to respond to what the whole world needs. So this is the frame. We will we will take a few minutes to speak about something from the systemic perspective as a trigger, and then we'll go into breakout groups to explore what comes up together. So we're drawing on the collective wisdom, putting a systemic frame on, if you like, systemic glasses on. And then after we've had some time in the breakout, we'll come back together to share what are the golden nuggets or the things that we're taking from that conversation. And then we'll go into our life. And this is the pattern that we will use. And I love Siets being here because we both have a similar heritage in our training around systemic intelligence, and have a special appreciation for Siets' wonderful work that she's done on creating moving questions. So we'll get the richness of that in our experience together. So anything you'd like to add, Siets?
So yeah, thank you. Do you know this feeling when you meet someone and you immediately connect, and you immediately recognize yourself in the other person, although you have never met this person before, and she might even live on the other side of the planet, and there might even be an age difference. That's what I experienced with you, Sarah, when we first met almost a year ago. So I'm very excited to be sharing this experience with you, and I would like you all to. Would like to invite all of you to just be present. Use your own intelligence, systemic intelligence, and all the other intelligence you might have. Use your body, and just use this moment to experience, to explore, to have fun, and make meaning of this time, now, this morning or this evening, but also this time frame we're living in as humankind. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Lovely. Well, thinking about systemic intelligence and those ideas, what came to, in fact, it arose out of Siets and I coming together to do this series together. And it brought up this idea of when two people join together, or even when two systems join together, what is actually joining together and what really belongs to what's joining together. Because if we think about the idea of a system, what do we mean by a system? Well, it's really when a series of elements come together for a purpose. So they're serving a specific purpose, and that configuration of elements is needed for the purpose to be served. And so this is an interesting idea. So when Siets and I came together, what is it in my system that meets with what is in Siets' system, and what needs to be included in that, and actually what doesn't belong in that? Because we had an interesting moment, didn't we, Siets, where something from the past in my system came up. Yeah. So this anxiety that I had about something. And so I said to Siets, I just want to speak about this because it's present. And it was beautiful to do that with Siets, because given that it was systemic in nature, she could ask me a question about where did this belong? Where did this anxiety belong? Did it belong with us, or did it belong somewhere else? And just that question, I realized it didn't exist between us. It actually belongs somewhere else. But to have said it meant that we could clarify something, and my system could calm down and be fully available for what we were doing together. And of course, that makes me think also, when does that happen? When does that happen in our lives? But also, when does that happen in organizations? Because of course, that's where my attention's drawn a lot. So this is the theme that I think could be really nice for us to explore this morning, about what actually, when we come together, and you can think of a situation where you come together, what actually belongs and what doesn't belong. Siets, would you add something?
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. And of course, for many people goes that due to their personal history, they have stories about themselves. They start believing things about themselves. I started believing things about myself. And then when people start growing as a person, and of course this also goes for companies, for teams, for business ideas, it's the same mechanism that's at work there. You start believing things about yourself, and even so, the more often you've told them, the more true they become. And then when you want to set yourself free, most people will choose the opposite direction. And then you have two ends. But the two ends are still the same kind of form of being stuck and not really growing, not really continuing. And the beauty of our conversation was that because we both know who we are, we both know our stories, and we both recognized how we resonated to each other from the first moment on, it was very easy to start talking about it and move beyond it. So for all of you, I've written down a question. We'll create breakout rooms, and my question to you is, which ends will bring you abundance when you move beyond them? Which ends can be two sides of the world, can be in your business, can be in your thinking. Which ends will bring you abundance when you move beyond them? And the thinking behind it, I'll put it up here. The thinking behind it is, of course, that abundance is already present. Health is already present. success is already present. You're just blocking it in your thinking, in your experience, in your traumas, in whatever happens. So the invitation for tonight, for this morning, is to have a little conversation about which ends will bring you abundance when you move beyond them. We will create breakout rooms with groups of three and four, and you'll have about 20 minutes to just explore with each other and just listen. Use everything you are, use everything you have, and invite the other ones in your little group to just explore with you and exchange feelings, ideas, experiences. I wish you a lot of fun again. So before we close this meeting, I would like to give everybody the opportunity to share some thoughts or ideas or some insights that were interesting to you. And you can do this by just start talking, and then we'll see if, if you're the only one who starts talking. We'll figure it out. Is there anything you'd like to share or comment on?
For me, Siets, we just touched briefly on loyalty, and I'm an extremely loyal person, and I've just realised that sometimes that gets me stuck. It doesn't always serve me well.
Yeah. And in the traditional systemic thinking, being loyal is something good, but as soon as it starts draining you and taking energy, then you need to process it to something that's valuable now.
Yeah.
I'm named after my grandmother. Her name is Siets. And in the last years of her life, she was really a terrible alcoholic. And she drank port wine, lots of it, because port was the cheapest kind of alcohol she could get. And I once was having dinner with my mother, and she said, I will never ever drink port because my mom drank too much. So my grandmother was on this side and my mother was on the other side. And both of them were prisoned. And my mother being loyal to her mother and to herself as well, trying to figure out how to live in between this. And then I said, well, this takes away from the opportunity of the two of us drinking a glass of port together later on when we have cheese and enjoy the taste of this liquid. And since then, each time when we go out for dinner together, we end the meal with a glass of port wine and say cheers to Grandma Sietske. That's moving beyond. And it's loyalty to yourselves, but most of all, loyalty to life. Life wants to flow. And once it's flowing, that's where the abundance and the health and the effortlessness is.
Thank you for that.
Someone else who would like to share or comment?
Yeah, what struck me is the letting go. I mean, it's here. I was saying it's here. The evening, full moon, and just before the kids were in bed, and I thought, okay, it's full moon. I need to see the full moon and stand there and let go of whatever. And I couldn't find the moon. And I went in front and I couldn't find it, and it's a clear sky, but I can't find it. And when the question came up, it was, for me, it resonated with to let go of old ways of perceiving, of old ways that I used to do things and that are not working at the moment, and to be more receptive to what wants to unfold beyond what I think or what worked in the past, but what doesn't anymore. And so tonight, the full moon with the moon not being able to be found, I'm like, okay, let it go. So that was very powerful for me.
Wow, that's beautiful, Saskia. And I think it's such a great metaphor for many aspects of our lives. The ways we knew we were successful before might not work now anymore. And this can make you feel very lonely or incapable, whereas we are living in new times and we are invited to move beyond what we know and how we know how to do it.
Yeah, and I think with that is to look into what was in the past, what can we take of that forward, and so we can distinguish what needs to be left behind, and we can thank it and be grateful, but then what needs to be taken forward that actually was birthed out of that. Because life wants to move forward. And so every experience has something that we will take with us going forward. So it's also, this is very helpful in organizations, because otherwise it feels like a judgment. Whereas if we can say, that got me here, it taught me this, now I take that forward with me, this is very potent. And it feels like no waste. It's enriching.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sarah. So I think our time is up.
Yes, very much so.
So yeah,
Thank
shall I do some practical things and then you can close the meeting?
Sure.
So we have recorded this meeting, and you'll receive an email from us with a link to the recording. So if you want, you can re-watch it or share it with others. We'll have another check-in in 2 weeks, December 13. So I think you have a new group of friends now with whom you can share, with whom you can experiment. So you're very welcome. You're also welcome to invite others. So if you know people of whom you think they might be interested as well, just send them the link, let them register. So they'll be in our email automation as well, and they'll receive the recordings as well. So thank you for being here. Up to you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Siets. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm aware we're a little beyond what we hoped, but this sometimes happens. It's more for us to create a safe space to come and explore systemic ideas to support how we all respond, and loving this connection around the globe. So I'm very grateful to all the people from Europe who've come just, I think it's midnight now or thereabouts. And thank you, Lorraine. Yes, this is what it's intended to be, a great start for the week. So you put your systemic lens on for the week and you benefit for the next fortnight from having a systemic lens. So thank you so much. Thank you, Siets. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time, and with everyone else who will come and join us. And so we will have we had a conversation about expansion. So we'll have a lovely expansion over the time that we're together. So go well, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you.